In the very beginning, before time began, there was nothing. No sky, no sea, no life, no sound. But then, out of nothing, God spoke. Let there be light. And from that divine word, all creation began. Genesis chapters 1 and 2 tell us the story of how God carefully shaped the heavens and the earth, giving light, life, order, and purpose. For modern-day Christians, this story is more than ancient history. It's the foundation of our faith, a mirror of God's nature, and a message that still speaks into our world today. The first truth we see is that God is the ultimate creator. He didn't need raw materials or help. He created everything simply by speaking, showing his power, authority and purpose. When we look at the stars, the oceans, or even a tiny flower, we are reminded of a creative and intentional God. For modern believers, this truth calls us to humility. We are not self-made, we are God-made. Everything we have, our talents, time and lives, are gifts from Him. And that means everything we do should honor the Creator. Genesis 1:2 says, "The earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." From chaos, God created order. He separated light from darkness, water from land, day from night. This is a comforting message for modern-day Christians. Even when our lives feel empty or chaotic, God's Spirit still hovers over us, ready to bring light, peace, and purpose. No situation is too dark for His order to shine through. Every day of creation had a purpose: light for day and night, plants to bear fruit, animals to fill the land, sea, and air, and finally, humans made in His image to care for it all. This shows us that God is intentional. Nothing He creates is random. In today's fast and confusing world, where many people question their worth and purpose, Genesis 1 reminds us, you are not an accident. You were designed by God with meaning, and your life is part of His bigger picture. In Genesis 1:26-27, God says, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." Humans were created uniquely to reflect God's character, His love, creativity, wisdom, and authority. This means we are caretakers of creation, not owners. We are stewards of the world, called to protect and nurture it. For modern Christians, this has deep meaning. It reminds us to care for the environment, to treat people with dignity. Every life reflects God's image. To live responsibly, knowing our choices affect God's creation. Imagine if every believer lived this truth, how differently we would treat our planet and each other. On the seventh day, God rested, not because He was tired, but to set an example. In a culture that glorifies busyness, the Sabbath reminds us that rest is sacred. It's an act of trust, saying, God, you are in control. The world can pause while I find rest in you. Modern Christians need this rhythm. Work is good, but rest is holy. We are at our best when we stop to reflect, worship, and reconnect with the Creator. Creation reveals who God is: powerful, wise, generous, and good. When we appreciate nature, we're not just admiring beauty, we're glimpsing the character of its maker. As Psalm 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." Each sunrise, every mountain, and even the rhythm of the seasons remind us of his faithfulness. Being made in God's image means our words, actions, and creativity should reflect him. When we show kindness, forgive others, create something beautiful, or stand for justice, we mirror the Creator. In a broken and divided world, being image-bearers is not just an honor, it's a responsibility. We are called to represent God's love wherever we go. Genesis 1-2 isn't just the story of how the world began. It's the story of who we are and why we're here. It reminds us that God is powerful, purposeful, and present. It calls us to live with gratitude, responsibility, and rest. So today, as we look at the world around us, the light, the air, the people, we can say with confidence, the same God who created the heavens and the earth is still creating something beautiful in me.